She is a Twitch partner. There you go. A sponsored celebrity. A podcast host. She is a host of Vocal Minds with, I will not say the name yet, but she is a podcaster with a very successful podcast. And she's also a content creator, an entrepreneur. I am a fan of this person. Very beautiful, very humble. I love the smile. Our very special guest in today's episode, our dear friend, Sophia Vee. Welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thank you so much for having me. I love the intro. I swear, I was like blushing. I'm like,
But you are a celebrity, and yes, I know there's a different context in that word, but for me, you are a celebrity. Not everyone can reach the level of success, the milestone that you've reached. Twitch partner, that's a massive platform, and you've done it. You're there. Of course, you're not finished, but you're getting there. A lot of achievements. Wow. And your podcast is really doing, guys, for all the listeners and viewers, let me just complete the sentence there in the introduction. She is the host of Vocal Minds with Sophia. There you go. That's the complete podcast name. So Sophia, again, I said this off cam and I'll say it again. Thank you so much for being with us here in the show. I know you're very busy. We've been, reshuffling schedules, but thank you for being with us here in the show. It's a blessing to have you on the show, Sophia.
Thank you so much. Honestly, you're very sweet.
Wow. Thank you. All right, Sophia. Let's start off with your story, a brief overview of, how and who influenced you to be in this position of greatness, position of success, because I know our listeners and viewers know that you are successful, but we don't know the story. Please share a brief overview of your journey. The floor is yours, my dear. Please share.
Okay, so I started out as a Twitch streamer before I actually got into podcasting. And when I started doing Twitch, it was during the time of the elections of the United States President Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And it was like hot topic. And so I started talking about politics on Twitch, and it like took off, and I started to gain a following. And I, even though I'm not American, I would like give my takes on what I thought about politics in America, in Africa, in Asia, like all over the place. And then I discovered Yvonne Ridley, who was a journalist in the UK, and she got kidnapped by the Taliban, and she ended up converting to Islam. And she has a really incredible story. And so I was like, I need to speak to this woman. Like, how am I going to speak to her? She's so inspiring. Like the fact that she came back to England and she converted to Islam during this time that terrorism was at an all-time high, and being Muslim was associated with being a terrorist. And she just, converted to Islam, and she's brave, and she stood up for what she believes in. And she's like an advocate for the voiceless, people in Syria, people in Palestine, and just being such a prominent journalist, like she gave her life to speak for those people. She's a white woman from Britain. She's not from Syria, or she, you know what I mean? And I was really inspired by her. And so I launched a podcast just so I could speak to her, because I was like, there's no way like I can speak to her. There's a movie about her where it's called Official Secrets. Keira Knightley plays in the movie because she exposed the United States for spying on the United Nations to sanctions on Iraq. It's like really like long story, but she's so inspiring. And I wanted to speak to her. Like, it's always been my, like, I need to speak to her, know? And so I launched a podcast literally just so I could speak to her. But then once I launched it, I was like, okay, well, I need to get more guests. I can't just have one episode. So then I just started, so then it took off. I started asking more people to come on the show, and they agreed. And to my surprise,
how can they say no?
I know, right? So I was like, wow, okay. And I've just been reaching out to different people that I find really interesting, or have like really interesting stories to share. of things that we may not know. Like I, in the West, like I try to bring people from different parts of the world. So not just America and the UK, but like people maybe like indigenous,
Right.
or like I have somebody coming on from Bosnia, and I've never spoken to anyone from Bosnia. So I'm really excited about that.
I have to say your podcast, if I'm allowed to use the word diverse, it's very diverse. It's for me, I like that because that shows uniqueness. It's for, you're not for everyone, but in a way you are entertaining the world. And I love that. I love that vibe in your podcast. So everyone that are listening and watching in this episode, please do check again Vocal Minds with Sophia. It's an amazing podcast, very diverse. The storyline, the vibe of the show. And again, hosted by a very, very talented and beautiful Sophia here. Now, Sophia, you are in that position as a podcaster, a Twitch partner, that you really have a structure in place, and that's the reason you're a hard worker, you're very disciplined, and that's the main element of why you achieve success. Now, for everyone that are listening and watching who are in that stage where they're starting a podcast or thinking to start a podcast or want to scale a podcast, we are all excited to know how to start a successful podcast, tips, powerful or realistic stories that everyone can help in their podcast journey from an expert like you. The floor is yours, my friend. Feel free to share.
So I think self-promotion is one thing that people do not discuss enough, right? They'll tell you like, oh, do a podcast, but they don't tell you like, even like spam. Okay, spam is not really accepted. It's not good to like spam pages your podcast, yeah? But when you're starting out, do that, yeah? So if you're starting out and you want to grow your podcast, go like on Facebook. Facebook is a great tool to grow your podcast, but they have so many Facebook groups that are specified for podcasting, podcast promotion, and post your podcast on there. But you need a really eye-catching picture because so many people are posting their podcasts, right? So you need a really a in your face picture that's going to make people stop and click that link. So I think starting out, just spam your podcast everywhere. And that's one thing that no one tells you. Literally, you have, like, if you're starting out and no one knows who you are, you don't have a following, go on those groups and start spamming your podcast, right? And then
Start making a noise, right? Start making a noise. Put yourself out there.
Promotion is not a dirty word, and a lot of people. I swear to you, I felt so sick talking about myself back in last year. It was, like, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, like my podcast all the time, because it's but listen, if you want to make it, you really have to just talk about yourself all the time and promote yourself, spam it 100 times a day, until you get frigging banned from those groups. Obviously, they have a limit of how many posts you can do, but you're just starting out, spam your podcast. And that's what no one tells you. Wow. They don't tell you, but I think, it works.
Love that. I love that. And that's true. You can talk about yourself, you can promote yourself and not be arrogant, right? You can share yourself. And there's a lot of podcasters out there. I love that you said that you need to stand out, because there's a lot who are also, aiming to get visibility, and you need to make noise. And how will you do that? Now, in your case, Sophia, obviously that's a powerful number one realistic tip. Make some noise, share it, make use of social media. Let's talk about the mindset. What is the driving force for you to push forward? Because I'm sure that well, a side note there, did you ever encounter like naysayers, the people that doesn't believe in what you do as a podcaster?
Yeah, I've had difficulties with the pod. Like I had a guest right on, and I just, for some reason, like he came on the show and there was a lot of noise in the background. And then I couldn't speak, right? I couldn't speak. We're 10 minutes into the podcast. I prepared, but this guy's like super quick, right? So he's answering the questions every freaking, sorry, it's not a swear word, by the way, so I'm not
It's
swearing.
all good. It's all good. Be relaxed, my dear. This is your show. This is your show.
So I'm stuck. I have nothing to say, and I'm there, and he's there looking at me like, what next? And I'm like I had no idea what to say. I literally froze, and then when I finished that, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this, because this, especially when I started getting like celebrity guests, because I was getting nervous and timid, and they were making me very nervous. And then I read Larry King's book.
Love Larry King.
Yeah, and he said the first time he went on air, he couldn't speak, and he was live for 15 minutes, and he just sat there, right? And Larry King has obviously he's no longer, but reached the high point of let's say before podcasting, interviewing guests,
broadcast interview. He's the Larry King is the king.
Yeah. So if he started out and couldn't speak and had all these, technical difficulties within himself, then I thought, well, I have nothing to worry about because he did it too, And so I would recommend everyone to buy Larry King's book. It's inexpensive. It's a couple dollars, but he shows you how he started his career, on the radio. And it was live. It's not even like a podcast. It was live. And he was making so many mistakes on live radio, and because it was 40 years ago, no one remembers that, but he started out and he made so many mistakes.
Wow. I totally agree. There's also I read in an article that your first first episode to sixth episode, or until 20 episode, until 50 episode might suck. But you don't know, because you just keep on creating. You just need to believe in what you're doing. And even though you have reached the 100 episode, it could still suck. But you don't know what would happen in the 101st episode. The next big thing, it could blow up. Or if that doesn't happen, it could reach someone, it could change people's lives. And in my case, we started with a lot of people don't believe in what we do. We started with no equipment at all. It was just a phone and an earphone. But, the drive in my heart is bigger than anything else. It's bigger than the monetization. It's bigger than, you might criticize me and say a lot of things about me, and I don't give up that. Because my dream is bigger than that. And that's something that I see in you. I feel when I listen to your podcast, and we've shared, guys, for everyone listening and watching, me and Sophia shared a couple of Clubhouse sessions, right? And I've heard her speak, and she is powerful, direct to the point. That's why she is in our show today, because of that vibe. She knows her intent. What is having said that, Sophia, what is in your heart that keeps you going, keeps you creating, keeps you because I know you're not always passionate about creating a podcast episode, right? Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you're caught up in life, you have a lot of things to do, you're not in your A game. But what's keep you going in creating wonderful episodes?
I think it's important to bring guests on that you find interesting, because even yesterday, someone contacted me and they were like, oh, you could get paid to bring this guests on. And if I don't find you interesting, it's not like I'm offending you, but for musicians, right? I don't really focus on musicians. I don't really bring musicians unless they have experienced something else outside of music. I'm not a music podcaster, but musicians who want to promote their music or albums, they want to go on my show or, Twitch to reach new people.
Yeah.
And they're offering me money, but I'm like, I don't like your music, first of all.
What do you say? You can't say that. You can't say that. I don't like your music. How do you refuse? How do you refuse an offer?
I just say we're pretty busy. Reach out to us in a month or two, and we'll see what we can do. And whoever's listening to this,
they know it.
Yeah, they might know that. But yeah, I think that's the one thing is the guests have to be really interesting. And so that's why I focus on bringing people who have interesting stories,
Wow.
because then I'm motivated to speak to them. Whether it was not even on the podcast, I would want to speak to that person, you know?
I love that. I agree. That's something that I share also. Whenever I have a guest, I learn from the guest. I'm motivated by the guest. I'm encouraged. I mean, you're the guest now. I'm encouraged. I'm inspired to push forward because of you. And you're so successful and you're so humble. That's a good combination. I'm learning from it, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers are learning from it. You mentioned, there's someone, a brand or a business contacted you. They want to be on your show as a guest, and they're ready to offer you money, a payment, as a monetization program, and you decline. Is that, it's easy in this world that, a lot of people will say, hey, you're a business, you're a brand, that's money, why would you say no? What if nobody comes and give you money for that? Would you still continue what you're doing?
Yeah, I would. I would, because I genuinely want to have these conversations. That's why, for me, it's like if I start bringing like these musicians that have really terrible music, right? In my opinion, on the podcast or on Twitch, that is going to kill my entire audience,
Mm.
because they can tell that I don't believe in the music, and so it is.
It's really not about the
Yeah,
money, right?
yeah, it's not about the money, I know long term it will really, and I'm not a music
Mm.
show. If it was like yeah, I reviewed music, I don't have the capabilities to review music. I never worked in the music industry, what I forgot to mention though earlier, one of the biggest things that I had to learn, like I'm ignorant, like I'm not even gonna lie to you, I am so ignorant, I don't listen, right? So when someone's talking, I've learned to listen,
Mm.
but I never, like subconsciously I think I'm listening, but I'm not listening. And
Mm.
so when I started podcasting, it was really hard because to go back and forth, because I wasn't listening to what they were saying. I
Mm.
had questions planned and I was just sticking to my questions. Now I don't have questions and I just have a conversation. But before, I had questions and I wasn't even listening to the response. I was just waiting to ask them the next question. And then I realized that I can't, even when I was growing up, I never listened to my parents. Like, so I had to learn to listen. And so I would
Mm.
download these apps on my phone. Yeah. I don't know what it's called. There's this app and it tells you short stories
Mm.
by like audiobook. And then it
Right.
gives you an exam to say, so what was this person's name? And so I would do these exams to improve my listening skills, because I realized that I can't listen. Like I have, because from childhood, I never listened to no one. And so I had to do these
Love that.
exams to learn how to listen.
That's true. I mean, I love that part that you shared your authenticity there, and I'm glad that you shared that in this show. You can be hearing, but you're not listening, and that's what you're saying, right? You're hearing as part of the conversation, as part of communication, but you're not listening. But the good thing there, for all those listeners and viewers out there, a powerful tip from Sophia is, you need to understand that you need to listen, not just mere hearing. Yes, you have a structure in your podcast, but you need to listen. It's not just about the story of your guest, the flow, the vibe, the heart of your guest. And when you listen, you would understand the power of the conversation. And I love that you mentioned that, Sophia, because there's a lot of podcasters out there. I mean, not only podcasters, but content creator, that they're so boxed in the structure, the technicalities and everything. Yes, it's important, but you said that powerful line, you need to listen, and you invested in yourself. You studied. That's hard, though. That's hard because you mentioned that from a child, when you were a child until now, you have culture, you have habits, and it is not in your system, and you need to invest in things for you to learn how to listen. Wow, isn't it hard?
Yeah, initially I would get like 4. So they give you an exam, and the 10 is the marks, right? And I would listen to these stories, and my results would be like 3 or 4, and I was like, God, like I'm so bad
Mm,
at listening. And so I really started doing the exams like consistently, like every day, and they're free. So if anyone wants to get them, like it's not even costly. Just go
mm,
onto your app store and search for listening
mm.
tests. And so I was like determined to get 10 out of 10, because I was like, oh, this is embarrassing, man. I can't even listen to a 15-minute conversation. I don't after I it's I like I don't even know what happened, like nothing, you know. And so it was so embarrassing, and so I had to keep on doing these tests, and so they really helped me, you
Mm,
know. I had no idea that there was a such thing as listening tests too,
mm.
you know, or apps that have listening tests. So I literally had to go and research, like, if I want to improve my listening skills, how do I do that?
Wow, wow, powerful tip. Now, you mentioned, a lot of technicalities and that you need to make an assessment and everything. Let's go to a tip, a giveaway from you as an expert, a successful podcaster, to everyone that is listening. What powerful takeaway would you give to all our listeners and viewers in their podcast journey?
I think listening is the most important thing, honestly. Don't have the structure, because I had the structure and it keeps you in your comfort zone, and you miss out so much uh natural conversation. And if someone says something really interesting, you miss that because you go back to your questions, you know? And so I think you're not podcasting is not CNN news, right? So when I first started, I wanted to be Amanpour. She is a news host. She's very structured. That's not a podcast. Yeah, unless you're
Mm,
doing the news, it's not a podcast. Podcasting is more like a chill conversation. You're not
yeah.
on TV. You're not a news anchor, so you don't need to be like, super straight laced. And so that was one thing that I had to learn. Like, I love Amanpour. She's my
Mm,
hero. But podcasting is different. I'm not on the news and like giving like data facts where I have to be like so serious,
mm.
you know? And so for me, that was the most important thing. Like, just listen, because literally
Wow.
you can have a conversation about anything and make it interesting, just
Wow.
depending on how well you listen to your person, your guests, your friends. Practice with your friends. When you start out, practice with your friends. Just have a conversation and like go really in depth, you know?
Wow. Love that. So, guys, all our listeners and viewers out there, this is a powerful tip in your podcast journey. Learn how to listen. Yes, technicalities are there. I mean, you can go to YouTube and watch a tutorial how to construct a podcast, equipments to use, but nobody really tells you to listen, right? Because
Yeah.
no, you gave me an overview there, Sophia. I've seen a lot of how to's and hacks in podcasting, top equipment to use, and how to run a show. But reality bites. Nobody really gives an advice that, hey, as a host, you need to listen. I think they are assuming, we are all assuming that it comes naturally, but you may just fall in that hole of you hearing as part of the conversation, but you're not really listening, right? And listening, you feel the vibe, the emotion, the soul of your guest, of the conversation. And I love that you highlight that. Thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you for sharing that, realistic, straight to the point, powerhouse tip. Guys, start listening. Sophia,
Literally.
thank you for sharing that. Thank you for, being with us here in the show. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. No, 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 no. We're gonna play a game. This is part of the show where we play a game. We call it the creative fast talk. All right. I'm gonna ask you questions, and you are not allowed to think too much about the right answer. First word that comes into your mind, shoot. All right. You need to be honest.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready, my dear?
Mhm.
All right. Question number one. Sun or snow?
Snow.
All right. Structure or chaotic?
Chaotic.
Love that. Love or money?
Love.
You were thinking like, should I say money? All right. Next, if you were an animal, Sophia, what animal would you be and why?
Tiger. I
Why?
love tigers. I think they're so beautiful. That's the only reason, actually. I don't know much about their character, but I love them. I think they're so beautiful.
Wow. Okay. Tiger it is. Next question. Popcorn and movies or dinner and dancing?
Popcorn and movies.
Ooh. Okay. Since you answered that, what is your top 3 movies of all time?
Original Sin.
Mm.
I like Beyond Borders because it's about refugee camps. I don't know. The third one is Transylvania, Hotel Transylvania.
Okay, nice. That's nice. That's nice. Love that. Okay, next. The mountains or the beaches?
The beaches.
Ooh, all right. Okay. Sophia, what are you afraid of?
Spiders.
Why? Did something happen when you were a kid?
No, I just don't like them. Or worms. I'm terrified of worms from childhood, and I don't know why.
Right.
In London, when I was in school, there was a season where there would be literally worms everywhere. I don't know why. It doesn't I haven't seen them in years, but I think maybe in winter there's a lot of worms and they freak me out. I don't know, man, because they're just really strange behavior.
Right. Well, yeah, it's kind of icky feeling, when your hair tangles with spider webs or something. So yeah. I've experienced that before, so I know what you're trying to say. Next, Sophia, what's your favorite color and why?
Pink. Why? There is no reason. I just maybe because it's really girly.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Okay. Next, what is your dream superpower and why?
Ooh. Okay. Well, a superpower like superhero power.
Yeah.
I wish I could fly. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like flying and you can go anywhere, right?
Yeah, literally. I could be in Tanzania right now.
All right. What is always inside your bag when you were a kid?
Chewing gum.
Right. Okay. Next. What is the weirdest food you've ever tried?
That's a good question. Foie gras, maybe.
What was that?
It's the something of a geese in the throat.
Really?
It's disgusting. Yeah.
Well, can you share the story? How did you end up eating that?
I saw it on a menu and I thought this looks interesting, and then I ended up ordering it and it was horrifying. I also bought a fermented egg once, but I never ate it because in London they have this Oriental City. It's there's a restaurant place where it's all Asian Oriental restaurants, and they have this golden egg, and it's probably 1 year old. 1 year old. I don't even know how many years it is, but because it was gold, it looked rather interesting, and I was I need to get that. And then when I opened it, it was it smelled really bad, it could be weaponized.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And so I just ended up throwing it because I was nah, man.
I love the word that you used. You can weaponize the egg. Literally. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Right. All right. This last question can be something serious depending on how you take it. All right. If you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why? Anybody.
I don't know if you watch WWE.
Oh, I'm a fan of. I was a fan since WWF. And
Hey, so Paul
WCW,
Bearer,
WCW,
100%.
WWF, WWE, man.
I love
I'm a
that.
fan.
I love that. Honestly, when I saw your figures in the back, I thought you're missing some wrestling figures. You got superheroes, you got Batman there, but you don't have the Undertaker.
Oh man,
So
Undertaker, yeah, love. WWF, I'm a Razor Ramon and Bret Hart fan.
oh, I love Bret
WWE,
Hart.
that's where I tried to switch, and Undertaker was my pick. But then I was like, Stone Cold all the way to things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, when you were, who would you bring back from the dead and why?
Paul Bearer, 100%. I love him. I really do. If you know, that's Undertaker's manager.
Yes, yes,
But I
yes.
feel, I don't know what it is, but I feel like this mad connection with Paul Bearer. Like, I really love him. Like, when I watch him speaking about The Undertaker, I want to cry. I know it
Oh,
sounds crazy, but like, I'm his like number one fan. Like, I swear, he's so iconic. If there was one person that I could interview, it would be him. Like, he's just so iconic, you know?
love that. The entrance with him and
Yeah,
the
The
Undertaker.
Undertaker.
Yeah, love that. Paul Bearer he's just you're right, he's an icon in wrestling. He's he's more he's a solo icon compared to, he's not famous because of the Undertaker. He is famous on his own. When you say Paul Bearer,
Yeah,
you know why he's famous, right?
yeah,
Let's
it's
say you
true.
bring back Paul Bearer back from the dead, what would you ask
Yeah.
him?
Where like so he's the most passionate speaker I've ever seen. Like, how do
Really?
you get like the way he's like so like
Oh yeah, yeah,
Undertaker,
yeah,
like
yeah.
when he's giving like everything to this character. And when he came out like he was Kane's dad.
Right, yeah.
I'm such a wrestling nerd, seriously.
I
But like just
feel
like
you.
the
I feel you.
passion. Do you know what I mean? And just like his love for wrestling. I love how much he loves wrestling.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure, wherever he is happy and he's proud of his achievement. His family
Of
loves him.
course.
We as a
Absolutely.
fan loves him. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sophia, for being such a good sport, answering those silly questions, giving us an overview of, your silly side, your personality,
Yeah.
that we are both a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us powerful tips, a glimpse of your story. I know you have a lot of events or social media accounts, projects, or releases. Please promote them. The floor is yours.
Okay, so on Mondays, I record my podcast. You can find it live on Twitch, or you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, everywhere that you can find podcasts. If you're a wrestling fan, then every Friday I have a wrestling show on Twitch. And then I sidecast WWE SmackDown and also the big pay-per-view events. So like WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble that just went. And then I do sidecast AEW, but only their pay-per-views, because I don't like AEW as a promotion and I don't want the AEW fans to like come after me. But I really, I'm like WWE for life,
Oh yeah.
basically.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remembered I was like a kid. I would, download stuff, buy stuff from WCW,
Yeah.
and then WWF. I mean, wow. And then WWE. You just bring back awesome memories. And yes, I don't have action figures of
You
wrestlers.
need to get
Yeah.
some. You
Uh,
need an Undertaker, at least.
or Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Love you,
Or
love you, love you.
Kane.
Thank you for that memories. Again, Sophia V, thank you for joining us here in the show. God bless you guys. Always remember, have a positive outlook in life. Smile. God bless you. Bye.